second. Okay, this is our website. Anybody ever wants to visit it right now, we currently have a video playing for the webinar, which if you didn't register through the invitation you received from Online Trader Central, you probably did it through here. And I just want to go through, we'll eventually get through all this. I do want to talk about our mission statement, something very important, something we're very proud of on our homepage here. I'm not going to spend too much time on this website today. I'll spend a little bit of time. There's a members area where you can't get in. It's locked for members only. I'll be spending some time in there today along with Lance. The public area, the open area, you can come visit anytime at your leisure. Okay, this is our mission statement, and we adhere to this and we stick by it. We like to essentially try to be the last stop on a trader's journey to success. This industry, as a general rule, somebody comes in and wants to become a successful professional trader. The success rate is less than 5%, unfortunately, and there's a lot of reasons for that, which we will try to address some of them, and we try to address them every day and improve on that. However, it's a reality, and like I said, we'll touch on some of that. Let me go a little bit over the group here about us. First of all, here is my wife, Sylvia. She's our administrator. She's a trader, but she basically takes care of the books and things of the sort. She doesn't do a lot of interaction with members, kind of likes to be to herself. Then you have myself. A lot of what you see here, trend following trades, is a result of my experience, history. A lot of it not good in my start with trading, but determined to make it a career path, and which is what I did, eventually coming into the company and then buying it out. And then my partner, Lance, who is the one that basically programmed, and he's our developer also, and took it from where it was back in 2014 to where it is now, light years ahead from a programming standpoint, and is able to take ideas that I and he come up with and put into code and on your screen. So having said that, Lance, I don't know if you're ready. I'm going to pass this off to Lance, and I'm going to turn my camera off here and mic, and he can make a part of a presentation for you folks.
Yeah, thanks for that, John. You're a developer here for the various NinjaTrader tools that we see here, and just want to do a video check. You should now be seeing the screen of an AMA here. I'll go into more about what the AMA2 is here in just a moment, but I want to talk a little bit more about myself. I've been in this trading industry for going on 8 years now, and during most of that time I've spent developing systems for various clients that come to me with a request. I create various indicators and strategies for them, and at this point in time I've lost count of how many I've developed. It's in the several thousands now for different indicators and systems. During that time, there were a few years where I was actually working at NinjaTrader, doing both support and development work there for various people. And I was fortunate enough, I think it's been close to 2 years ago, to be introduced to John here, where we got together. I was started as his developer to improve some of the existing indicators, and we've been working ever since to create what I feel is one of the, if not the best, system that I've ever seen and worked on so far. And I just want to begin talking a little bit about what we have here showing on the screen. So the AMA2, and also known as the Advanced Market Administrator 2, is something that allows us to quickly look at up to 12 different markets at once. Now on the screen here, I have the AMA2 grid here with 6 different rows being shown here. Each one is a different market. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. So you should be able to see a closer look at this, and just want to talk about the different columns we have. So on the far left-hand side, we have the instrument column, and this lets us know the instrument that is associated with that row, as well as the chart settings tied to that, the P&L. And with that, we're able to quickly jump between the different instruments for a closer look. The right-hand side, which we'll see in just a moment, it contains different workspaces, a different workspace for each instrument, and that allows us to view more details on each one and quickly jump between each of those. We'll see a demonstration of that in just a moment, but before I get to that, let's take a look at these MS columns here. These stand for market structure. We have market structure short, medium, and long-term market structures. And they're notified on here with the different colors. We have red meaning we're in a downtrend, and green meaning we're in an uptrend or confirmed uptrend if it's a darker color, and unconfirmed trend with the lighter colors shown here. Moving on to the right of that, we have a divergence column here, and this allows us to monitor for divergences that may be in our trade plan. Say we don't want to trade against certain divergences, we'll get color indications that show up here when those come up, so we know either to trade or not to trade depending on what we're seeing there. To the right of that is a very useful column here. It allows us to see all up to 12 different markets at once and what they're doing in real time. These charts update the same as your regular NinjaTrader charts, and so you're able to see price action in a smaller snapshot view and have them all contained on one monitor, as opposed to needing several different monitors to display all 12 of your different charts at once. Then to the right of that, we have the momentum column, the MOMO indicator, which allows us to quickly get a glimpse at whether or not our markets are in chop or if they're currently in a trending state. Then to the right of that, we have one more indication-related column, and that's going to be net change. It just lets us know the percentage net change from a point of our choosing. I always say point of our choosing because you can customize that to to reset at any point in time by clicking on it, or we can have it by default as programmed to start when the NinjaTrader session begins. All right, so from here, I'm going to go ahead and let the video play a little bit so we can talk through it as it's just showing an example here of it. We click on a different column and it jumps to a new chart on the right-hand side. And with that, we have the ability to have some single order execution. So in this particular case here, I just submitted a OCO order, so one cancels other order on here, and it automatically ties a ATM strategy order with that. Now, for those of you not too familiar with NinjaTrader, the ATM strategies are something that's built in, which allow us to easily customize and predefine what our stops and targets are going to be. We can have split targets, split stops if we want to. Automated trailing stops are all built into this functionality. So with the way this is going to play out, as the market moves up with this particular order that was placed here, it's going to fill a short order at the upper limit, and if it moves down first, we're going to be short at the lower price, and it's going to cancel the other entry order and continue on from that point forward. The ATMs are fully customizable with all the features that are in NinjaTrader, and we have the ability using NinjaTrader's Chart Trader to adjust these orders on the fly as well. As a general rule, we try and keep or suggest a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio when setting up our stops and targets. So with that being said, I just want to show it play a little bit further here of an example trades that took place. And we can see that here we had a trade that got filled on the upper side. The bottom side was then canceled out. And from here, we can just go in and either manually move the order as shown in this clip here, or if we configure the ATM, it could automatically trail. Another example trade that can be placed with the AMA2 is this one here. We have an order that got placed, but it wasn't filled right away, and price continued upwards. But based on the trade plan I was using, it still met my criteria. So as the price moved down, it then filled the order at a better price, and price continued onward. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video at this point for just a second. So another very useful tool that we've recently added to the AMA2 is the ability to queue different setups before they happen. So as you become a more experienced trader, you may find that certain market conditions, when they occur, you want to just be in a trade long or short with a certain setup and get a specific entry. Now, sometimes these trades happen very quickly, so if you know one is going to happen in the near future, we can queue the setup before it happens. That's done with the buttons on the AMA2 here, and we're notified that it's active with the text that shows up in this highlighted area. So this is letting me know that on the ES right now, I have a strategy is set up with a limit order to be placed on a support or resistance line. In this case, because it's in a sell mode, it's going to be selling with a limit order on the nearest resistance line if we get a pullback to that resistance line. So let me go ahead and resume so we can see that in action. And so as price then moves up, it triggers that setup, automatically places the order. A moment later, it gets filled and continues on from that point. From there, we had that NQ trade active from earlier, so we're able to flip back and forth between the different markets. And in fast-moving markets, we also have the ability to click on the move to break even button if we want to quickly move our stops to break even and continue from there. So that, one other thing I want to touch on this chart while I have it up is in the center bottom here, we have a net change graph. And this allows us to quickly identify the relationship between different instruments. So on here, you'll notice that I have the ES, the YM, and the NQ. And a lot of times, those being major indexes, they tend to correlate with one another. So if we're looking for a short trade, we might be better off taking a trade on the NQ versus the YM in this particular case, where the YM is very strong in comparison to the NQ. The opposite would be true for taking a long trade. One thing I briefly touched on before was this, the highlighting of the different rows on the AMA. When those different rows light up, they signify something based on our defined parameters that there's a setup taking place, and we can then choose what sort of trade to execute off of that. So I'm going to go ahead and close this capture window and broadcast another one here in just a moment. All right, so you should be able to see now, this is a glimpse of the NinjaTrader settings for one of the charts I have open. And this allows us, and this is part of the AMA2 package here, that allows us to define a set of different filters. So as you're trading, by default, we have all these filters turned off in the beginning. And that's going to show every single pullback that happens. But as you develop your trade plan further and go through it, you'll find that there are certain cases that your trade plan may say to avoid maybe trading against a certain type of divergence, or you only want to take trades when they pull back to near left side support or resistance. So with that, we can come in here and say, with this option here, I only want to take trades that pull back to near left side support resistance. So I turn that to true. And if I wanted to go in here and limit the trade count, require a certain market structure to take a trade, ignore certain trades against divergence, I can do that all in here with these different toggles to filter out only the best trades that I want to take. And so with that being said, I want to pass it back off to John here so he can go into more details on our website. And so let me go ahead and close this window here so he can begin sharing. And while he's getting set up with that, I also wanted to mention that all the colors and the items like that we see showing up on the AMA2 are fully customizable. So if there's a color scheme that you're more partial to, you can definitely configure it the way you want.
All right, well, Lance, thank you very much. And I just wanted to let everybody know how difficult, what Lance is doing is extremely difficult. Market's closed. He's using a video and stopping and starting it to explain what's going on. And trust me, that's not easy to do. And also, what we talk about when we talk about reward to risk, we're talking about 2-to-1 minimum reward to risk. So we go for twice our target versus our stop minimum. Okay, and then also with Chart Trader, when we get in here, we use an ATM that will be picked ahead of time, and then once a trade gets taken and plotted, we use Chart Trader to adjust our targets and stops according to the chart support and resistance. So the ATM is really used to get you in the ballpark once the trade's employed, and then you use the chart support and resistance to actually move those around. Maybe get a little more, a little less, with 2 to 1 as a guide. This way, you only need to be 50% right and still make decent money. So, just wanted to clarify that, and thank you very much, Lance. Before I get into the AMA2 in more detail and talk about swing trading as well, okay, I just want to bring the website back in here a second, and I do want to ask you a question. And this was one of the items that was part of the invitation is, why can trading gurus, I use the word gurus, make money? And in a lot of cases, you can, even when you're supposedly following them in a trade room, step by step, tick by tick. Any ideas? It's kind of a rhetorical question. And by the way, anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to type them in any time. If we don't get to them right away, Lance or I will get to them by the end. And if we don't, please remind us, and we will. The reason that a lot of people sit in the trade room, and the very fundamental reason we don't have a trade room, just so you know, I came into trend following trades as a trade room moderator. And I'm speaking from experience myself, having years ago been in trade rooms and then moderating trade room. When you're watching a trade room moderator, you're not learning, and they're not teaching. Essentially, you're watching, okay? Even if I take the moral high ground and give all trade room moderators the benefit of the doubt, all right, and say that they're successful professional traders, which I'm sure is if not all, many of you will attest is giving a lot of leadway. There's a fundamental flaw or problem from an educational standpoint with this approach to teaching someone how to trade. All of you that have attempted to do it with real money, I'm sure won't disagree with this statement that trading is difficult. It's lonely, but it is an individual profession in 99.9% of the cases, okay? So why treat it like it's a group profession? Traders are not an army or a team of support staff that can rely on each other real time. Rather, the profession is more like a pilot or a doctor or a trial lawyer or a surgeon, if you get my drift. Okay, like pilots and et cetera, traders need to make real-time, millisecond decisions as a professional without real-time millisecond support, when it comes to day trading. So why are so many traders attracted to trade rooms where a proper education is probably one of the worst places to try and get it? Try and learn with a group with delayed data and feed, and then trade real time? Really? Spend all of your learning time with a group, then be expected to succeed on your own? Really? What's the attraction? Why? Why is everybody so attracted to this trade room philosophy? I did it for a long time as on one side of the screen, then I tried it on the other, and it finally all meshed together, and a big bell went off in my head. And fundamentally, it's because we as people want to watch success and feel that as intelligent people, we can learn to duplicate it just by watching. Maybe study a little bit, maybe buy some good software, but we feel that we can watch people do something and learn from that. In reality, this couldn't be further from the truth when it comes to learning day by day on how to trade. There are times that this could be helpful, but only on occasion. So why do so many companies practice this type of education? I put that in quotes. Reality is, unfortunately, that your subscription dollars are what keeps those companies in business. At least most of them, in my opinion. Okay, not all, but probably most. in a profession where less than 5% of all students will actually have some type of success beyond break even, to near their goals, leaves an incredibly large amount of room for deceit and wishful thinking. Here at TFT, we are constantly developing highly advanced tools with simpler user interfaces from the indicator side of the business, while continuing to develop more successful ways to educate students on how to trade. Just think about that for a second. How many companies have you gone to that focus on education? Okay, I'm the head trader here at Trend Following Trades. We don't have a trade room, but we focus on education. You ever heard somebody tell you, I'll run the trade room and I'll trade on my own time, or I'll trade, after I'm out of the trade room, and they're running the trade room during the best times of the trading day, which essentially is 7 a.m. in some markets to essentially 2 p.m. Eastern. I want to be trading during those times as a trader. If I'm not, I can't make money. So, and to be fair and honest, only a very small percentage of successful traders have the ability to trade full size and teach as though nothing's going on without their trading suffering. I've done both sides. I've talked to people that do it. So you either teach in a trade room and live off subscriber money, or you trade. It, in general, is a pretty clear choice. Okay? So I choose to trade. As a company, Trend Following Trades chooses to teach outside of the best trading hours. We set a path that we like to head people down, which involves trade plan creation, back testing, sim trading, and when you get through all of that, then we go to real money. We suggest you make an attempt at real money and see how your emotions can handle that, because trust me, if you don't already know, once you go from sim to real money, your whole world gets turned upside down. And if you're the lucky few that doesn't happen to, God bless you, because it is a reality that all traders that I know of at least have to deal with. Okay. I want to take you, like I had said before, let me just log in here. The public area of the website you can go into. Let me just log in here. If we're lucky enough to earn your business, you'll get a login and get to the members area, be able to get in the back end. And I want to go into the Learning Center here. And what has happened in evaluating our successes and failures with students, it's very important to us to, when we have students come in, we have successes and we have failures. And obviously, the failures are higher than the successes, but our success rate is higher than the industry standard that I had quoted you. We evaluate everything and we try to figure out what is, what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong? Okay, this is the members area. There's 6 basic steps to start. And we ask you to go 1 through 6. 1 is getting started, and it's a video that essentially tells you why 95% of traders fail. The second one's how to download and install your indicator. It's gotten really easy. It's just an executable file you run it. And then the third one's CT2, which is our chart trading package, not the grid, just for charts, the right side of what Lance was showing you. And then number 4, explains how the indicators work, and then 5 is the AMA2, and then 6 explains how the grid works. So if I go into one of these, let me just go into section number 4, okay? And then let's just go explaining the TFT Momo divergence inputs. This is a video, okay? So if I hit play, it'll run anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, something like that. What we found, all right, and don't freak out, all right, because this is something that's about to be implemented in a few weeks, in December, is we can ask you to follow a path. We can guide you down that path. It's a path that we know has a higher success rate than if you don't follow it. But the one thing we can't do is we can't know how much of this video you absorbed, okay? How much of it you learned. We can set up a learning process. We can ask you to follow it. You can actually even watch this video. But how much of it did you retain? So what we're implementing, it's almost all done. It's just, it's a matter of logistics with the back end of WordPress and all that, is we're going to start quizzing. So probably one of the first to do, not the first, but we're going to have quizzes of every section and then a test at the end. Certain quizzes will be block quizzes, meaning if you don't pass it, you don't get by it. People say, oh, that's so harsh. You know, I pay so much money to become part of your group. Why are you stopping me? The answer is because you didn't learn an important section of what you need to know to move on. That's the bottom line. It's not about putting the time in or watching it. I mean, obviously it's about that, but you also need to learn it. You failed, so we got to get you to pass. So once you pass, you've absorbed, you've learned the material, then we can move on, okay? But not before then. So it's something that we've discovered. One of the big reasons that the failures that we've had is in asking and talking, me personally, and talking to the people that, you know, we have good relationships with our members, and they're like, John, I just can't get it. We usually get them, we're like the last stop. People come to us, they've been beaten up. We get the first and the last. We get people that have never traded before or barely traded, and people that have been so beaten up, spent so much money, been through so many garbage sites and worked with all kinds of get-rich-quick schemes that, you know, we do the best that we can, but if they don't get it, they're out of money and, you know, they just are done. We ask questions. We ask them to be honest with us, and the number one thing we find out, besides, there's other things like people think they don't have to do things and all this, but the number one thing is they don't absorb the material. They don't learn it. We've tried different ways of presenting it. We've tried different ways to make it easier, video, reading. There's different discussions we can have on all that, but a video is still the simplest way of learning and comprehending. But if you don't comprehend the material, there's no sense of moving on, and there's no way that we can know if you comprehend the material unless we test you on it. So this is something that we're going to be implementing throughout the members area, and we're pretty sure and confident that it's going to increase the success rate of our members. Now, is it going to guarantee that you're going to become successful? Absolutely not. And we're not implying that. We're just implying that the material that we want you to learn, you'll have a better shot of comprehending, so that every step you move on to, you will be graded on, and in the critical areas that you need to learn, we will stop you, will not let you pass it and go on until you do learn it and can pass the test. You won't be able to cheat on these tests. They're multiple choice, but you got to get 2 out of 10 questions, and then the questions get mixed up every time. So, and besides, cheating's for, you know, kids. This is college level type stuff. So you want to make money at the levels of a doctor and a lawyer, things like that, you're going to have to learn at levels and that those type of professions are educated at, and actually what's turning out to be in ways that those type of professions are also educated at. So think about that for a minute. And if anybody wants to give some feedback on that, it'd be really helpful to hear it, because nobody else than the people that will actually be going through it, before they go through it, could it be more invaluable, and then to see what actually happens and hear the responses afterwards. And this is an area of our website that we're going to be monitoring very, very closely and constantly upgrading and adding to. We're going to add a lot more videos. We're going to break down sections into much smaller sections, much smaller length videos, 3 to 5 minutes max, so we can break down the areas and know where we need to spend more time, what we need to be more detailed on, and things of that nature. Okay. I also want to talk about something new. All right. So this is a brief discussion on education and how we are. Trading really hasn't changed much in the past few years. So everyone's coming up with all these fancy indicators and doing all this, and we're simplifying the fancy. We build the fancy in the back, and we simplify the interface. You can only do so much of that. And so then we're moving on to education, and we are also working with automation. From the method standpoint, it's partial automation. As Lance showed you, the strategy trade button, it's a per trade setup. If you know certain things you want to see happen, you can set it up so that if it happens, bang, the trade will execute. But then we were missing something, okay? And this is something that I've been working on for a long time. And that is when we finally implemented it, made it available about 2 months ago. It's called DDWR. And I'm going to bring in a chart here. This is the ES, because ES is a popular market, not one of my favorite markets, but it's a popular market. I'm going to bring in this chart here, all right? And what this chart is, let me maximize it so we can get some view out of it, this is the session range of the ES, the cash session, okay? And let me just get to a pointer here. What you're looking at here in blue, this is the range in points or ticks. Okay, this is actually points, 11.5 points. And then the black is the Wick Renko size that's recommended the day before. So this 3 Wick Renko bar is what was traded today. Okay, but we got this size yesterday before 9 o'clock. And we input it on our website and recommended that everybody trade with a 3 Wick Renko bar today. And as long as we're 50% right on range up to 200%, so we have quite a big spread. And we're as long as we're within that spread, 200% to 50%, it's a dramatic advantage over the longer term calculation. We have longer term calculations. That's how we've been trading for a long time. The problem is this. When you have, like here with you can follow this cursor, when you have days and time periods where your range is very small, its range and volatility are both range is low, small, range is small, volatility is low. You need to have, in our case, we use Wick Renko bars that are sized appropriately so that you can achieve your target, okay, because it's a small range day with low volatility. However, when the range expands and the volatility expands, you don't want to be trading with a little tiny bar because you get so much more that you can capture in profit. We like to go with the terms 2 brick stop, 4 brick target. Now that's just a generic starting point. We obviously use support and resistance on the chart. However, we start out with a 2 brick stop, a 4 brick target. But notice here how the calculations, it's a proprietary formula that we use, but notice how well it follows the blue, okay? Where when we get these range days, we miss one day in the beginning where the range is going to expand, and sorry, we just, this is a predicting tool, but we missed that first day, which is okay, so you miss out on some of the profit, but after that, we got it. And then when the range starts to contract, we right away come back down because we don't want to fall short of targets. So the first day we'll miss out on profit, but at least we'll get it. As the range and volatility starts to contract, we'll quickly come back down. So this is a very dynamic adjustment, highly reactive. It looks in the past, it looks at the current day, and predicts into the future. This took our equity curves and dramatically pointed them up. Still not good enough to write a letter of direction, automated strategy, at least in my opinion. I still think there's more that we can do, but it was good enough to pass it down to the discretionary trader. So what happens is, at the end of every night, between 4:30 and 9 p.m., like today, you'll see here, 17th, you clicked on this either last night or sometime before you traded, and up comes this chart. It's over 30 markets. We also put on here volume and, you know, the current month and the next month. So you can see, I personally don't believe in calendar rolls. I trade with volume. You'll see crude oil yesterday rolled. It rolled with the calendar. So actually, it didn't roll yesterday. It rolled today. So today was also a calendar roll, I believe. So we put this volume up here, this daily volume, so you can watch for volume roll and not just go by a calendar day. We like to trade where the volume is highest in that month. So we have that, and also here's your DDWR size, Daily Dynamic Wicked Renko, that we recommend for the market you want to trade. And we put 2 months in here, the current month and the next front month, just in case you know, you stumble across the rollover day, or sometimes it's a day early, the volume, sometimes it's a day late, things of that nature. And then we just put in here your value per brick if you're calculating your risk, and then this is the date that it's used for. This is for today. So, and we state in here clearly that if you don't believe in DDWR, which we really haven't found anybody yet that does, and you can go back into the members area, excuse me, and we have a section for longer calculated ranges and volatility for our Wick Renko. But you can clearly see here, let me just go back here. I'm going to drag, let me just get this out of here. I will bring in another chart here. Let's just go to the YM. You can see how nice the YM got stuck down here. When you click along these markets, you see how fast the charts come up. This is one monitor on 12 markets. All right. You can also, at any time, enlarge. The chart is full size. And by the way, this is CT2, Chart Trader. This is an indicator, yellow and brown, the start time and stop time. You can program that. And then it comes, CT2 comes with the AMA2. So I'm just going to bring, I said the YM, here's the YM, here's the DDWR. This is where the calculations come from. Okay, notice here, you can see right here down the side here, see how it's dropping off? And you'll notice the range pumped up the one day, this is post-election, and now how the range and volatility are coming back down. So we went up to a 16 Wick Renko bar, we're now back down to a 5. Imagine trying to trade a 16 Wick Renko now, imagine how much you would have left on the table trading a 5 back up here. Okay. It absolutely is a key to unlocking profit in automation. So why not use it with discretionary trading? This is something we do a lot. As we're developing a letter of direction, whatever we can back out into the discretionary side of trading, we will do, where it makes sense. If you don't like it, you don't need to use it. Just remember that. We like to keep things simple, but when we can capture extra dollars without changing anything else other than the size of this bar, we're going to do it. We're going to recommend it at least. Okay. Also, we started posting, let me just bring back the site. We started posting charts. Once we developed this DDWR, in the public area under performance section, you know, we don't claim performance at all. Okay, we're not saying we make so much money, because with discretionary trading, traders have different ways of entering, different ways of exiting. However, the method does have a basic concept of how to enter, how to exit. Let me just click on one of these charts and I can zoom up. Triple break trade is one of our defined trades. It's what we call a pattern trade, where we try to enter, in this case, if we couldn't enter at a clear area of support, I put in 2 dots, which is a range. that you can enter in. And there's other areas that, things that tell us to enter here. Qualifies, triple break trade, there's the entry. Remember, 2 brick stop, 4 brick target. So you at least have that, give it a green arrow. In here, we entered at support. It traded beyond it, so with a limit order, you will get filled. Triple break trade, unless there's a million orders coming in, then you won't. So, and then here, resistance. What we do is when we're in chop, which means our Momo indicators inside these lines, we plot a yellow, we flip support and resistance. So green is usually support, red or pink is usually resistance. This becomes support and chop, and this becomes resistance. We flip them because Momo's flat. So conventionally, we reverse these. We've discovered that that is the best way it works because price action's horizontal. So it's kind of like playing ping pong. And then here, the 2 dots means that it traded on this line, but we can't guarantee the fill. So we need to move up to the close of the prior bar, and this range is your fill range. So we're trying to be as forgiving on fill as possible to a trader and not marking really the exits because so many people exit in so many different ways. And this is a simple trade plan. People can develop their own trade plans. You'll see here no trading in a divergence, okay? And that's why you don't see any buys here, things of that nature. So if you look into this intraday chart, this is the public area. You'll get an idea of some of the, this is one showing the AMA2. Try to keep this away because this is an execution-based grid. The chart still shows where things are going, and then here, like this almost got stopped out. This one, there's one here. Some of these are trades that were taken live. Some of them are taken in sim. Some are taken by members. Some are taken by myself. This is kind of all over the place with examples, but each one we tried to, again, for educational purposes, we tried to show something. And then here's one that got a lot of attention. I got a ton of emails on this one. Apparently I hit a chord or a nerve on this guy right here, this one right here. Okay, this happens to a lot of people. Apparently getting by, first losing trade of the day on a YM. Almost every trader's biggest AM problem, meaning morning, how to keep going when your first trade of the day after the bell is a big losing one, and to the tick at that. So here was the short, stopped out to the tick. Okay, how do you keep going after that? And boy, I got to tell you, I got a boatload of emails and phone calls in the afternoon. We generally don't take calls before 2 p.m. I don't, at least, because that's my trading time. And this is a psychological issue with a lot of traders is when you have your first losing trade, how do you keep going? Remember, a 2-to-1, reward to risk, we only need to be 50% right, and we're still in the money if you follow the rules of math and things of that nature. We either trade a 1 lot or a 3 lot, and if you trade a 2 lot, you treat it as a 1 lot. There's a whole bunch of things that we don't like to fight. Mathematics is one of them. So we try to, everything we try to post it as a lesson, even if it's just a chart. So everything you see in here, basically you get 1 or 2 of these a day. We're going to start posting them again, pretty much on every day. Then you get days like this where you can run into, and like Lance explained, NLSSR, we call it near left side support and resistance, where price comes back, we enter with a limit order at here. Remember, 2 brick stop, actually up here, the stop would have been pulled above this resistance area, and our target, we want to be twice that. So if you had a 3 brick stop, you're going to go for a 6 brick target. A lot of people will pass on this trade because they can't afford the 3 brick stop, or they'll drop to 1 contract or 2 instead of 3, treat it as a target trade. They'll get their target. Now this becomes NLSSR, or excuse me, here becomes NLSSR. They're going to enter there. Then this does. They enter there, and so on and so forth. And this is a break-even trade. And this trade, by the time this was posted, it hadn't gone anywhere. So I don't know, get out with a little bit of profit or whatever. That's the yellow arrow. And here, this is a red line because we're in chop. It gets flipped. Excuse me, it got entered on the green. It's in chop, red and green get flipped because, again, you're playing ping pong. So it's really not that difficult. It's very basic. Charts are very clean. You don't have all these long bars, small bars, things like that. for day trading, we highly recommend Wick Renko. These are special bars programmed so they can also be used for automation within our own, the way Lance is working on, we're actually working together. He's obviously doing all the development programming, and I'm trying to feed him all the attempt at writing rules through discretion. It's not so easy. We've been working on it quite some time. We want to, I guess, essentially create something very unique in the retail industry, and that's try to match discretionary trades with automated trades. If it existed, people would be doing it at the retail level, and that's the only way they'd be trading. But it's very, very difficult to do. Same rules, same tools, no matter the bar size, which allows us to do this. Let me pull the site out of here a second, and let me minimize this real quick. I'm going to just watch my time here. Okay, and I'm going to pull up this workspace here. All right, it's this guy. And with the CT2 package, you don't need the AMA2 for this, is for those swing traders out there. Okay, same rules, same tools, but these are time charts now. Okay, this is a 14, 40-minute or daily, and then weekly. So, and this is a list here. By the way, all AMA2 and CT2 packages now are futures, stocks, and Forex. Everything's priced that way now, and they do all three. We call it all three. So in this market analyzer, this is NinjaTrader Market Analyzer, we have stocks, Forex, and then futures. So for those that are swing traders or have an IRA, like to trade options, things of that nature, you can day trade them or you can swing trade them. So basically you click on an instrument and it fills in the weekly chart and then the daily chart, gives you signals kind of the same way, support and resistance. You can maximize the chart. The only difference is we don't add chop zones just because the pricing difference is so dramatic that the chop zone's automatic on the day trading, the AMA2. For the swing trading, we have no chop zone. You're either in buy or you're in sell. So that's just the way it is. We go into Forex. You know, you actually plot your buy price and, you know, your sell price. You'd want them to be in alignment. You know, you have two charts side by side, you can be. We also have coloring in the candles, which exists on the AMA2 also. Dual time frame, we can match the time frame by just coloring candles. So now you can actually use a faster time frame to color in the candles, not just a slower time frame. So there's a lot we can do here. Just wanted to show you swing trading, same rules, same tools. Part of the CT2 standard for those that don't want a grid, or the AMA2 that just like chart trading, you can use a standard market analyzer from NinjaTrader to do swing trading. So let me just see here. Are there any questions that came up that weren't answered? Weren't able to be answered, Lance?
So can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think I've gone through. I think I've answered. You may not see the replies I've typed to people, but I think I've answered all the questions. If there's any I've missed in here, guys, just please copy and paste in the question again, and I'll get to answering it.
Okay, I'm just looking through these. If anybody, just so you know, if anybody has more detailed questions and they want to speak at a more detailed level, don't be afraid to call after the webinar or anytime after 2 p.m. Eastern into this office. You will get me on the phone.
There's actually two good questions that just came in here. One's in regards to why we use the Renko bars, and the other is in regards to pricing.
Okay. Why we use Wick Renko bars and not candlesticks? Because Wick Renko bars smoothen out. They see the candles. These are you want to call them candlesticks. These are weekly candlesticks, and these are daily candlesticks. You see how long the wicks are and everything? Like, there's so much that's happening inside of these candlesticks that you don't see the whole story. When you go to a Wick Renko chart, I just have to minimize this. Sorry, we're working with one monitor here. Let me get back up the grid. We call it the grid, call it the market analyzer. Let me just pick up one of the charts. They're all the same size. And then when it closes, it opens up and plots a new one. When it's twice the reversal, it takes 200% to reverse, 100% to create a new body going the other way. But you see where price has been at all times, all right, by the wick. So you don't see a lot of people using Wick Renko when things are like automation are being programmed and all that. It's a very difficult candle to program automation with. Lance can attest to that, because the opening disappears once the bar closes. But what it does, it leaves the indicators very smooth. So you don't see them jerky and jumpy all over the place. You can tell trending markets, very simple, or much easier. You know, you can see here, the Canadian dollar, nice trending market. If you had a candlestick, and this happened over a pretty quick period of time, you'd have a couple big candlesticks. So no time to enter, no patterns to recognize, support, resistance, very far apart, very difficult to pick up, things of that nature. Okay, we're here, they're fairly simple. Our signals, and these are signals that have no filters on them, by the way. I open up all the filters so you can see all signals. All strategy trade button signals have been turned off. Okay, so you can get an idea of all the raw signals being plotted. Basically, anything above this trigger line will plot for a short when this is red, and anything below will plot for a long when this is green, the stripes. Short mode, long mode. Pretty simple. And then Momo, short is red, green is long, and then when you're yellow, you're indecisive. Okay. What do we charge for training? We really don't. When you're a lifetime member, training is essentially at no charge. We email, we do phone. You know, we have special programs. If you want to do custom training, it's a more advanced, more intense type of training where I will get involved with you and I will push you to your limits to progress you further on in your training once you've reached certain benchmarks and levels, and that is on a per charge basis because it's more one-on-one for quite some time. Difference between the CT2 and the AMA2. CT2 is chart trading only. AMA2 allows you to execute off this grid on the chart. The chart becomes a feed pump into the AMA2. Okay, so you can do either or. You can execute with NinjaTrader off the chart, or you can use the AMA2 to execute trades off the chart, and these numbers all come from the chart into here. Stop limit orders, stop market orders, you can click with the market. There's a whole bunch of, there's semi-automation in here. This essentially is kind of like its own little platform, and we're using NinjaTrader ATMs, NinjaTrader, chart trader in NinjaTrader to move your stops and targets, and all the information for execution and data is getting pumped into the AMA2. And we're exclusive to NinjaTrader and nobody else. So if anybody's going to ask that, we only work with NinjaTrader. When will there be an update to Ninja 8, and will there be new costs? We have not updated to Ninja 8. The AMA2, our goal is to update to Ninja 8. We want to trade with it ourselves, but to be quite honest with you, it's not going to look much different. The improvements in Ninja 8 don't really help us because we're not back testing strategies. You know, we're not looking for sub-second, you know, time and sales. There are some nice things about Ninja 8, don't get me wrong. It does utilize the cores better and things like that. And the chart trader will probably be done first, and then the AMA. You know, when we go to it, our members will be upgraded to it. It's just right now we're working on some other items that are actually more important to the end result of trading than NinjaTrader 8 right now. So the cost of the software method. Okay, let's get to that because I know we're going to, in a few minutes, hit until the 27th. Okay, this is the website. you can go here after this session is done. We're going to put, we believe this is being recorded. I hope Kathy and Kevin can confirm that. Once it's done, we'll put a recording on here. This is a rather older recording, but essentially, here are the products. The CT2 standard pricing is here, and the AMA2, which includes the CT2, is here. We're offering webinar specials, one price here, AMA2, one price here, and then we break it down into 3 payments, 1 payment, and then a payment in 30 days, a payment in 60 days. So it's basically 3 payments here, 3 payments here, and then we have one for 5 payments. We used to offer leasing, and it was our intent was to allow you to lease. We had 1-month leasing, 3-month leasing, and all that, but the intent was not to have you have to buy something. But what we found out was the purpose was to not make you buy something to lease it if you wanted to lease it. But what it turned out being was, especially with the 1-month lease, trading is one of the most difficult professions in the world to learn how to do. And what we found is if somebody did a 1-month lease, they expected to learn how to trade and learn the AMA2 in a month. And if they didn't, they just moved on. And it was an absolute joke. We found that they moved on and they came back. And many people eventually became lifetime members, and some did learn how to trade, some didn't. We offered a 3-month lease, and same thing happened. In that 3 months, they expected to be able to learn how to trade as a professional trader in that 3-month time frame. So it made no sense that people were doing this. We were working hard, and it became kind of chaotic, especially on the lower time frames of lease. So we decided to break out the payments as far as we could so that you own it at a lease type of payment. And at the end of the payment schedule, you own the product. You're a lifetime member of Trend Following Trades. You will not see us run these specials often. The last time we ran a webinar was in May. We do not live off subscriber money. Okay, we don't run a trade room. Every individual in this company, does not need to have this business, meaning Trend Following Trades as a company with subscribers to make a living. So it's important that you realize that. As I was going through in the beginning, there are companies that must have a trade room with subscribers. That's how they make their living. That is not the case with us. So please understand that. This is the payment page. This will redirect you to a whole, like if I go in here, this webinar special, the AMA2, you click on this, then you go select options here. It'll take you to another page. There's a 5 payment page. You need to read all of this. You go through here, and then you go down to here. You accept the terms, and then it'll take you to here, and you hit subscribe. It'll take you to PayPal, which is the actual payment link. For those that want to swing trade, you email us, and then we have the ability to have email alerts sent to you. But we use a third-party company because a lot of the internet ISPs, internet service providers now, are blocking computer-generated emails, so our signals are getting blocked. So we use a third-party company, and if you turn it on with day trading software, you'll go through 1,000 emails in a day. So we just have a document that you sign that says if you go over so many emails that you're responsible for the cost. It's really meant for swing traders only, so that's why we don't have a button up here. It's just for swing traders, and if you turn it on, it's an option. We have to allow it. You can't just turn it on, so we have to actually turn it on for you in the back end. So all you have to do is go up into the purchase area. Again, the product's offered, and it's kind of summarized for you. This will end. There'll be a video up here again on the 27th. Right here is Sunday after Thanksgiving. The specials will end, and the pricing will go back to standard pricing that you see here. So let me just go through here. So AMA2 is $44.99. 1 payment, yes. That is your best discount on that. You break it up into payments, it goes up a little bit in price in total. Okay, where can I see a track record? Again, is this Al? We don't post a track record because we're discretionary traders, and posting a track record is all on the trader. It's not on the method. This is not a system. The system is something that is automated. Okay, we are not fully automated. At best, you can call it a semi-automated method. A track record is based on how many trades you can take. We can show 12 markets at one time. This is not a chart that shows one market. You can monitor up to 12 markets. You can trade up to 12 markets. Heck, you can trade up to 24 markets if you've got a good enough CPU and 2 monitors. You can actually, I think, 2 grids, Lance. Is that the max that you put up?
For right now,
I'm not sure. Of grids that you can actually create in the software. But I didn't hear you, Lance, on that one, so I don't know what the number actually is. But so anyway, I believe it's 2 grids. Any more than that, it really gets kind of ridiculous. You're looking at 24 markets all at once on potentially 2 monitors. So that'll drive you kind of nuts. CT2 AMA2 one was chart. So I understand the track. You understand that about the track record there? Yeah, we don't have a big issue, Frank, with the NT7 freezing up. We run things our indicators are very CPU friendly, if you want to call it that. But we will be migrating to NinjaTrader 8 eventually. It's not a top priority now because we don't have any issues. If you're trading a student level laptop, yeah, then you're going to have problems putting up 12 markets. I mean, that's the bottom line. You want to be a professional trader or learn to be a professional trader, it's wise to have professional level hardware. That's all. Do you have any P&L statements from anyone using the system? First of all, Eric, it's not a system, it's a method. And, I don't know, what you're looking for, with a profit and loss. We do not even ask people to provide. I used to show my profit and loss statement. Twice I showed it. The first person I showed it to told me that I photoshopped it, and the second person that I showed it to asked me why I wasn't making more. And after that, I decided that that's it. From now on, showing a profit and loss statement is someone either looking to feel good or looking to say they can do better. I don't know. Trading is an individualistic thing. It's something that you should learn how to do and do well. And if you focus your energy on learning how to do it, and you have a good set of tools and the right people behind it that are willing to help you learn how to do it, not just trade in front of you, but actually take your charts, mark them up, saying, look at your trade plan, help you write a trade plan, walk you down a path to success, and help you, hold your hand down that path, to me, is what helped me. Okay, and people that I have spoken to, it's what's helped them. I don't know of any other way to discuss it and talk about it than my own personal experiences. If somebody else has their own experiences that they can talk about, how they did it, how they became successful, how they became happy, and all that, I hope they have a better story to tell than I do, because I can tell you, I went through trade room after trade room, package after package, tens of thousands of dollars after tens of thousands of dollars. Unfortunately, when I started trading, there were no simulators. NinjaTrader just came out, 6. It was just in its infancy stages. The sims weren't very good. And by the time 7 came out with a good simulator, it wasn't required anymore. So you guys with the simulators nowadays have a distinct advantage. If you treat it like real money, that's a great thing. You can then, when you make the real money step, it's great. Let me just see here. Frank, we should talk. If you can give me a number or call me afterwards, I can have a conversation with you that can address that. If you can give me that opportunity, we can address that. Okay, it looks like we're running out of time here. So what fees are reasonable for your outside your licensing fee? I'm sorry, Eric, I don't understand the question. Are you talking about, we're over time. Kevin, thank you very much. Again, anybody, the number here, if you go into the contact section of our website, it'll give you our number right into the office, and also our email, info@trendfollowingtrades. I'd be more than glad to, in more detail, answer some of these questions. Frank, you got to bring up a good question. I'd love to talk to you about it, have a solution for you. Eric, I don't quite understand your last question. If you want to explain it in more detail, would love to address it. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. Kevin, Kathy, you've been wonderful. And look for this on a video. Hopefully, you guys are going to record it so we can put it up on our YouTube channel and up on our website. So everybody take care. Have a great upcoming holiday, and thank you all very much.